Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another overseas conspiracies. So, together with Myra, my wife, we will discuss 3 possible conspiracies. Number 1, make sure you got your popcorn ready, guys. Let's just get straight into it. Number 1, should we talk about people asking for money? People asking for money?
Yeah, sure.
So I've got a message sent to me today, and I'll share 2 of the stories as well. But there's a brother living in a short-term home for a short stay here in Islamabad, and he got a voice note from the cleaner. So with the short stay, he's asked for a cleaner who does a daily clean. So the cleaner knows they leave in a few days. And he said the cleaner guy left me a voice note asking whether I can give him some money for his sister's nikah, so it's for his sister's wedding. And straight away I said don't fall for it. I mean, if you play devil's advocate here, right? The country is full of people that are poor. People will need support. You know, the rupee isn't getting far. Petrol prices have gone up. Everything's gone up. People's wages haven't changed. So technically he's poor, and you know, you should give him money. And us being rich from the West, we should be able to give him money, right? Wrong. Why are we wrong? Well, in Pakistan it works like this. If you work for somebody, so he doesn't work for the guy who sent me the message, he works for the landlord of the home. So the landlord of the home has given him a task to do the cleaning, and he pays him whatever his wages are. Now you might say, okay, he's probably getting about 25,000 rupees a month, which is around about 70 quid, which is nothing. Okay, yeah, fair enough. What happens here in Pakistan, there's a lot of hidden charity. So yeah, he will be getting his 25,000 rupees a month, but he'll have his medical fees, any medical paid. If he needs new shoes or clothes, the landlord will pay for that. If his
sister is getting married, then the landlord will contribute towards that.
Yeah, if his sister is getting married, he'll be able to cover the whole cost, right? Now, there's a difference between the landlord and the brother who messaged me. What's the difference? The brother who's messaged me hasn't lived here, hasn't worked here, doesn't know the situation. The landlord does. The landlord is a native Pakistani, he's a local. So he knows how much it'll cost for... generally, the cleaners in Islamabad are from a very poor background. They live in a village, they travel far, and they have a humble lifestyle, right? So he will know exactly how much to pay. So let's say, for example, the whole nikah, the whole function should only cost about 20,000 rupees, which again is about 60 quid. The landlord will know that, but this brother who's messaging me will not know that. He wouldn't have a clue. So people like that do take advantage. I had a message sent to me not so long ago. There was a lad working in a busy doctor surgery just over here, and he's been speaking to me for a while. You know, I've been nice to him, he's been nice and sweet to me. And last month he said, don't tell the doctor this, but I've got 2 kids, can you cover the fees, the school fees, the 50,000 rupees each? So that's about just under £300 in total, right? And I took a screenshot of it because I wanted to discuss this in the group, in one of our WhatsApp groups with other fellow expats that are living here. And I said, look, what would you guys do in this situation? Nobody really replied. So that made me think, you know what, maybe a lot of us are still gullible, and I think we are. So nobody really replied. So straight away I just responded to the guy who works in the doctor's surgery. He's a cleaner there, and I said to him, you know, I used the Translate app, and I said, do you work for the doctor downstairs? He said, yeah. I said, okay, so can you ask the doctor to cover the fees? and he said, "Oh, please don't tell the doctor that I've asked you this," and straight away he deleted the message as well. So, but I've still got the screenshot saved because I wanted to discuss it with people. So I caught him in his tracks. Now, how do we know this? So, Myra, can you share the story of a family in Islamabad who the driver got ill and what happened?
He became very unwell, and he ended up in intensive care, and this would have cost like thousands, like I'm assuming it probably would have cost around £10,000 or more, pounds or more.
Yeah.
And they were, they had to find the funds to treat him. They didn't have to, and I don't know if everybody does. I guess you and I don't know if everybody is footing the
But
bills.
they just paid the bill, right?
They did, yeah. They found him somewhere to stay. They got
Yes.
his family. They paid the rent for this place for them all to stay, for the family to stay in Islamabad, so that he can be
And
seen
cover the
by
bill.
the doctor until he's completely recovered.
And
They've
he's
been
recovered,
putting
right?
him- I haven't actually asked again. It was a few months ago.
Okay. So, if you're a poor family from a poor village, and you're going to somebody's home to work as a driver, as a cleaner, as a gardener, wherever it is, you're there full time. Any employee of yours that's full time, you have to look after them. And what Myra's example is not uncommon to me. I know people always pay the bills for that family. There's a lot of hidden charity. There is also the other charity where every Eid comes, they pay him a nice bonus. They also give them food rations that can last them 6 months, non-perishable foods like atta, rice and stuff like that. So that's 2 Eids, they get a nice bonus. They get food rations in Ramadan. In the Islamic New Year, Muharram, they get a bonus then. So, and then 14th of August comes, they might give them something then. Any medical bills, they cover that. Some of the clothes, they'll pay towards it. If somebody in the family is getting married, they'll pay towards it. So what's the moral of the story?
There's people that are living like this in the UK who are, they have to really think about and budget, and they're not constantly asking other people for money. And I think that this, and I'm not saying this, and I mean it might sound like I'm saying this because I'm privileged and I don't have to ask for money, and I'm earning my money and whatever now. But the thing is, when here or anywhere in the world, people shouldn't be in a habit of just asking for money. And generally what I found is, somebody told me this from Pakistan. They said that if somebody is working hard and they're a respectable person, they'd rather die than ask for money. It's a big embarrassment. So the people that are asking for money, they generally, I was told that they tend to not be genuine.
Yep.
Remember once we had an experience where somebody was working here for a few days, and I could hear him on the phone. I could hear him saying that, isn't there anything? Haven't you got 30 rupees? Or have they all come or something? So it sounded as though he's got guests or something like that, and they don't have enough money now to buy roti or something like that. Which it could be the case, but then it happened like 2 or 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
And I was like, how come I can always hear this conversation?
Is it all acted out?
Yeah, so I spoke to a few people.
Is it
here in
perfectly
Pakistan.
timed?
I spoke to a few friends here in Pakistan, and they all said that anybody who is, who isn't begging and they're actually working hard, they would never want you to hear that they're having these struggles.
Exactly. And generally, when you are employed, you go straight to employer when
it's taking
hard.
advantage.
Yeah.
If you're cleaning for somebody and they're a guest in this house, like the brother is, he's staying in this house, he's renting it. Most likely, most people, you and I included, we would give the cleaner some money.
Yeah.
Naturally, we would, because we always tip.
Yeah.
So that would have happened anyway. But he's gone and asked for it.
Yeah.
Which is it's so rude to do that.
And the same brother had an issue last month. So he's been staying in short-term accommodation here in Islamabad up until he finds a house to stay in, on a long-term tenancy agreement, so 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, whatever it is. So up until then, he's moving from short term to short term to short term. So the last property he stayed at, he messaged the landlord and he said, "Look, I need a cleaner." So the guy came, he did the cleaning, he left. He sent there was an elder guy and there was a younger boy. So the younger boy knocked on the door. He said, "Oh, it's 1,500 for the cleaning." And this brother was shocked. He was like, "Why is it 1,500? That's quite a lot, by the way. Cleaning shouldn't be more than 500 rupees, even if it's like a full clean of the house, mopping, brushing."
Really? In Islamabad?
Yeah, mopping, brushing, and all that. It's like a 1 hour work. So 500 rupees, which is £1.50. So they've said, okay, 1,500, which is like a £5. So he just paid it. He goes, "Look, I don't have change. I've got two 1,000 notes. Just go and get change and bring me 500 back." So he passed it to him. Then he had to think. He thought, "Let me just tell the landlord." So he messaged the landlord. He goes, "I didn't know. I wasn't aware that there's a cleaning fee. And if you had told me in advance, I would have had the money ready, blah, blah, blah." He rang him straight away. He said, "There is no fee. That was part of the service of your short-term stay. That is, you're gonna get. You can have it cleaned as you wish." And so they got it cleaned. So the landlord then rang the old man and the boy and said, "Look, return the money." So they came an hour later with the two 1,000 rupee notes.
And he didn't return with the change.
Yeah, he didn't return with the change
until he was told to give the money back.
Yeah, so essentially he would have just kept the 2,000 rupee money. So that's his second issue. This is second property in a different area in Islamabad, and it's happened again.
And it's not that we can't afford to give this money.
Of course we can give it, yeah.
Of course we can completely cover this wedding.
There's a difference between fraud, being conned, lying, cheating.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not that. And yeah, people are struggling, but people are also struggling in England. People really are struggling in England. And yeah, they do have the benefit of being able to claim benefits. Even then, they are struggling. And really, when the average person who is struggling in the UK and they're just about paying their bills, it's just about covering costs of everything. Like many people did back in the day when they might have had a council house, they might have been working really, really hard to just make sure there's enough for everything. And that's essentially what's happening here when people have got normal jobs. They are scrimping and saving, and they're working hard, and they're getting by, and that's a respectful way of living. And so many people give to people who are working hard.
Yeah.
So many people see it all the time, don't we?
Yeah, we see it. There's a lot of hidden charity. There's always secret and hidden charity going on around the whole of Pakistan.
But there's so many people here who take advantage. For example, when we were going to that restaurant and you were giving the waiter really big tips.
Yeah.
And
I only give him big tips because I thought we're never going back there again. Boy, was that wrong. We went there like 10 more times.
Yeah, so we just went as a one-off, and Farhan gave him a big tip. Then we ended up going quite a few times. Farhan was still giving him big tips. So instead of just appreciating that, we weren't asking for anything in return. As in, he didn't have to lay down a red carpet every time we came.
Chuck roses on us.
Yeah, nothing. Like we weren't even expecting better treatment. Just we didn't ask for the best seats, or we didn't ask for the AC on. We were just going there, being normal, eating and leaving. But then he started messaging Farhan and asking for money.
Yeah.
And that's really off-putting.
Yeah.
Really
So
off-putting.
it's good to be aware that look, some locals. I'm not saying all locals. Some locals, some labourers, some people may try to befriend you, be nice to you, and then a week, 2 weeks down the line, or a month down the line, they might just chuck in there, "Oh, I've got a medical bill, I've got my kids' fees need paying, X, Y, and Z."
And this is a good one where somebody might be helping you, and they'll suddenly say, "Oh, can I borrow X amount of money?" And you lend it to them, and then you never see that.
You
money
never get that money again. They'll say,
Yeah.
"Can we borrow?
Can we borrow it? Yeah, can we just borrow it?"
Because you might need somebody just to help you sort something out.
And a lot of people, when they're helping you, they're not just helping you. You have to pay for that service, or you have to do something in return, and it has to be pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
And that's probably just maybe because we're from abroad.
Not really. There's when people say does Pakistan have a tipping culture? It has a tip. It's not. I wouldn't call it a tipping culture here. I call it a paying culture. Whatever little help you get from anybody, you do pay. It's normal here. And it's got nothing to do with us being abroad. Wherever we are, everyone just pulls out money here.
Okay, that's interesting.
So it's a paying culture, not a tipping culture.
And I guess maybe that's why it's made people so entitled. That you can't just do something nice for somebody out of the goodness of your heart.
So technically speaking, they're not on a low wage. All this paying culture increases their wage to a decent wage. 1,000 here, 1,000 there, it adds up. By the end of the month, if this cleaner, in this short-term stay, if they've got 4 tenants, 1 tenant each week, and each one's giving 20,000 rupees, that's
Which there won't be. Even if they're giving him 2,000, people will give 2,000 or 3,000.
I doubt people give 2,000 or 3,000. I doubt they give. I mean, if you're
because it's Airbnb, isn't it? So
if for a short-term stay, if you're paying, what is it now, about 30,000 rupees, up to 30,000 rupees for a whole house per day. So you're essentially paying 80-90 pounds per day. Are you really gonna give the cleaner 2,000 rupees? The cleaner knows how much you're paying. He can work it out, what's going on. He knows, these guys can pay something. There was another brother who hired a car with a driver. So here you can get a car without a driver. You do self-drive or with driver. So he got a car with a driver for about, I think it was 20 days or something. And the following day, the driver was like, what about my food money, kind of a thing. So he messaged the guy who owns the car hire company. He said, look, what should we do with the food? He goes, just give him 500 rupees a day. Which, by the way, 500 rupees for a labourer is more than enough for a whole day. Generally, they'll have breakfast at home, which is something really small. Something as small as the paratha and a tea. That's more than enough. So 500 rupees, if you can imagine, 60 rupees is a tea. They can get 3 teas in a day. That's 180 rupees. They can get a plate of a curry for 100 rupees. So that's 200 rupees. Then the rotis are about 20 rupees each. So with £1.50 a day, it's more than enough to feed somebody 3 times a day, or 2 times a day with tea in between. So this couple from the UK felt sorry for him, and they thought, what the hell, why is he going to get away with 500 rupees? So they started giving him 1,000 rupees. Now this guy was like happy with that. He was like, wow, yeah, 1,000 rupees. So what he did was then, whenever they'd go somewhere, he'd go with them. He'd park the car up and just follow them. So when they'll go to eat, he'll walk in with them. So they'll be eating, like, let's say, fried chicken and chips, and he'll be there, and they'll order it for him as well. So he's getting his 1,000 rupees and he's eating with them alongside. So he didn't tell me this at the time. When he left to go back to the UK, I said, just pop me a message. What was your feedback of this car hire? What happened? Is it good? Shall I recommend it to other people? He said everything was amazing, but some strange things started happening. This guy started following us around. The driver started following us around, and we didn't know what was going on, and we didn't know how to tell him, like, just stay in the car. So because I asked him all the details, I explained it to him. I said, basically, 500 rupees is more than enough. What you did is you doubled it. 1,000 rupees, people earn that in a day here. That's a day wage. You're giving it him as a food voucher, essentially, a day wage as a food voucher. That would have made him so happy and excited that he thought, what, all the boundaries have been broken. I'm gonna take more of this honey and follow him around. And he goes, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
And the purpose of sharing these stories is it is that we should be charitable and giving, but we have to have boundaries, and we need to not bring out the leech in people.
Yep. It's very easy to get the leech out of people.
Because now that man has been, that's really not fair.
It's not fair. Now that...
And we might say that, so what does it matter? You fed him, he's had a really good time, and that makes us feel really good, it makes us feel amazing, but actually we're causing more damage by making people...
Now when somebody else from overseas comes, you might try it with them. Also, why is he having fried chicken and chips? They don't eat that. He would never buy that in his home. The locals will never go and buy fried chicken and chips ever.
Maybe he wanted it, but they could have given that to him anyway
No,
out
I
of the
don't.
kindness of their heart.
It's not even that. They never eat fried chicken and chips. When we were getting work done in this flat, with all the labourers, hundreds of labourers that came in here, did all the different jobs, not once ever did I see them have pizza, have fries, have chicken.
They don't value that
have,
food, do
but they don't value it at all. And when you do see them eating, they'll get a double plate of dal, right, and 4 of them will eat it. That's what I've seen, right? And I didn't see it once, I didn't see it twice, I saw it every single day. So when a local person doesn't eat that type of food, but then when they're following you around and then eating it with you, that's kind of taking the mick, as we say. So do be aware of that. You have to keep people in their places. If the
You have to have boundaries.
the owner agreed 500 rupees, stick to 500 rupees. If the guy's following you around, you don't even have to shout here. There's no shouting here. You just politely said to the guy, just wait at the car.
Yeah, that happened to me.
Where?
When I booked a driver for myself,
Yeah.
and I went to Islamabad, I went to a book club, and we couldn't find the place. It looked a bit abandoned, and so then in that moment I needed to talk to the driver to work out where I'm going, what I'm doing. I had to call the library admin. Anyway, and then he was like, don't worry, we'll sort this out. Don't worry, even if they give us the book, we'll go to KFC and we'll read it. And I was like, what's going on here? I thought maybe I'm misunderstanding the Urdu or something, and I let it, I didn't say anything. I let it carry on. And he was like, when they come, it's fine. Yeah, we'll go. How long is it gonna be? What's the book about or something? And I was like, so when all that was done, I let him get excited. He clearly thought he's gonna come with me now to this book club, and I said to him, okay, I'm going, and I'll see you here in an hour.
Yeah.
And then I walked off.
Yeah.
So, it's not just because it's Pakistan. Generally, people try and push boundaries.
Yeah, even in the UK.
So we have to be, we have to set boundaries wherever we go. Be kind, but also have boundaries. Because when I first came here, I was so naive, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Little kids would come up to me, they'd cry, and I was just like, I need to give them everything.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I've just come out of St. Doris Mall
Empty
and I bought
purse.
myself expensive things, and now this kid hasn't got shoes and he's saying to me I don't have shoes, and it would completely play on my heartstrings. And then Farhan would say that, he's faking it, and I'd think, oh no, he's too harsh, he's not a woman. And then I'd turn around, I remember I turned around and he's laughing, that boy's laughing his head off, he's counting his money, he's having the time of his life. So he's doing that to people, and they can read people. It's not, all this isn't innocent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we shouldn't be feeding into it.
Yeah, we should be aware. You should definitely be aware of what's going on. Never ever feed into it. Trust me. Never ever feed into it. The way I think about it is, if I was a local, how would I go about this? If you were born and bred here, you knew what was going on, what would you do? And it kind of puts you in your place and makes you think better of how to deal with people. So that was one conspiracy. Let's put that aside. Basically, the conspiracy is that people here just want to take advantage of people that don't know and try and suck money out of you for whatever reason. So
There's
another
a
one.
culture of asking, isn't there?
Yeah. And you have to be very clever
And
in
it's
how you say no.
un-Islamic.
Yeah.
It's very un-Islamic.
I think they can be as un-Islamic as they want, as long as you maintain yourself, your character, and you put them in the place in the nicest way possible.
Yeah.
Like after I spoke to that cleaner, he never messaged again.
And when we came here, I remember I was all romantic about coming to Pakistan, and I was like, anybody that comes to my door, I'm going to follow that sunnah of not turning them away.
Yeah.
I'm not going to turn anybody away. I'm going to feed all those kids that do the recycling, and I'm going to cook for them. And I had this, whole, amazing, romantic, pious ideas of living here in Pakistan. But the harsh reality was that those kids we fed them a few times, and then they were acting like the mafia.
Yeah.
They were being rude to us. They were being disrespectful.
Yeah.
It got out of hand. They arranged. They passed on information. They arranged for you to be burgled.
Yeah.
There's a whole
Yeah.
system going on that we weren't aware of. That's why we don't have those kids coming to the house anymore.
Yeah.
What else happened? Yeah, and the letting people come and not turning them away. We noticed that the local people were actually sending people to our house, and we noticed that the local shopkeepers were specifically hanging about with some people, and then they'll send them to our house to get money out of us. And then we stopped that as well. We stopped giving people money. We stopped answering the door, because we saw it. We've got cameras around and we can see what's going on. I've even been downstairs and I've opened the door, and because I was late, they thought that nobody's answering, and I've seen exactly where the kids have gone, where these people have gone who came to ask for money. And this hasn't just happened once; it's happened a few times. So yeah, we really have to be aware, and yeah, that's it really. I've really changed. So we are still very giving, alhamdulillah, and you have to find balance, and I think that's been amazing for our character
Yep.
development, where we're not playing out of emotion, we're actually doing it for the sake of Allah now.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not just emotional
Yeah.
reactions.
So, another conspiracy. This one people might not take on board so easily, but because I've had the story said to me by multiple people, I've linked it all together. So, it starts like this. You have a cousin in Pakistan, you live abroad, you could be in Europe, America, Canada, UK. So the stories that I've heard, they're from different countries, by the way. So your cousin, she is 13 years old right now, right? Let's say, yeah. You yourself, you are a single male in your 20s. You're ready to get married. You're trying to get married. There's one case where the brother doesn't get married and he's in his 30s now. There's cases where the boy has got married, but it's ended in divorce. Then when you're in your 30s, all of a sudden, that 14-year-old is now 24. So you've had all these years of a failed marriage or not being able to get married, whichever the situation is. Now your 14-year-old cousin's 24.
You've said no to that cousin many times before.
Maybe it's been offered before, maybe. I don't think it has been. But okay, now the cousin's 24. Now you're sat around thinking, I've just, I'm divorced, I've had 3 failed marriages, or there's a brother who gets very close to finalizing arrangements for the nikah, but then it breaks off. So there's that brother who's never got married. There's a brother who's been married multiple times, like 3-4 times. Each marriage ends in divorce. Then there's another brother who got married and that broke up and they separated for 5 odd years. Then it ended in divorce. Then in their 30s, all of a sudden, an uncle, not the parents of the girl, an uncle just says, your cousin's available. Why don't you marry her? So now this cousin hears the rumors because, the uncle's been spreading it around to other aunties and uncles. They're all working together, by the way. Saying, then them two should get married. And then now that 24-year-old cousin knows that, there's a potential here. Now she doesn't refer to him as bi anymore. She calls him, she doesn't call him brother anymore. She calls him by his name. So wherever his name is, she calls him by his name. And she's got no interest in talking about marriage because she's heard the rumors that she's gonna supposedly marry him, or he's on the table for marriage. And they're telling him, the parents of the girl are not mentioning anything, they're just staying quiet. The uncle of the girl will mention it to the boy, saying, "No, your cousin's available, why don't you marry her?" So
This
yeah,
this was something you actually picked up, didn't you?
yeah,
You know a brother who's been trying to get married. He gets close to getting married, and then it breaks off for no real reason. It's just always really bizarre. And then there's a relative in the mix. They're just hanging about, waiting, not getting married.
and then I had to stop him there, and I told him,
"Did she call you brother?"
I actually stopped calling you brother.
And he was like,
He was
"Oh,
like,
okay."
yeah. So I finished his story for him. I go, the only way I know this story is because of the people have told me, and I've linked it all together because I've spoken to different people, and I've pieced it all together. So if that's
I
something
know
you're
these divorces that
noticing,
you were talking about,
Yeah.
they don't make sense, do they?
Yeah.
It just makes no sense.
so the brother that kept getting divorced, married and divorced, married and divorced, it was a bit like, what the hell happened there?
It just made no sense.
Yeah, like a quick marriage, a year down the line divorced, then 2 years nothing, and then quick marriage again, he's married again, and then what, 6 months later he divorced.
Yeah, and there's no real issues. You know, we've been married for a long time. We know what marriage issues look like.
Yeah.
There's no real issues, but these people are just getting divorced.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden they're in the 30s. Now that cousin's 24. Now all of a sudden somebody suggested her, and you know what? You're single, she's single. You know what's gonna go wrong? Generally, there's more story to the girl. The story is that the girl's parents, one of them is closely related to the boy's mum or dad. Secondly, there's a lot of property or land in the mix.
They would benefit from the divorces, and they'd benefit from the marriages not working out.
Yeah. So their benefit would be that 24-year-old girl of theirs would go to UK, go to America, go to Canada, wherever it is, live a happy life. The kids will be brought up with a comfortable lifestyle, an easy income, and their parents in Pakistan will be looked after. Like they will assume ownership of the land, of the home, and stuff like that. So that's the other conspiracy. If people can relate to this story, please do share it. If you feel like you're in your 30s, maybe you're that person who's in his 30s thinking, what on earth is going on? I've tried my best. I've met so many potential people that it should have worked.
And I think what we've just missed here is that you have a type. You have a type, and this cousin is just not that type.
Yeah.
She's everything that you didn't want.
And people want you to settle for that type.
And then you just end up there, and you don't really know how you've ended up there.
Yeah.
And even after you're married, then people think, wait a minute, what happened?
What a mismatch.
Why did I end up here?
Yeah.
And it's not always your cousin, we're just giving that as an example.
All the stories I've it could be a relative, yeah, but it's somebody in the family, yeah, definitely. So that's another conspiracy. The third one is lawyers for how can we put a rhyme to it? Because back in the day they used to say scholars for dollars. When the US used to fund certain propaganda and stuff like that, they used to give money to scholars to try and influence people in the wrong way. But that's all 9/11, post 9/11 issues, that's all cleared. They used to say scholars for dollars. So lawyers are liars. I know, I've heard that. Not all lawyers are liars. Okay, so lawyers, if you've got a case that you're fighting, if you've got issues with your land, property, anything, and you've got a certain lawyer, this lawyer is prone to be sold out or bought up by the opposition. Now, you wherever the lawyer is going to charge you, whether it's £300 for the case, he'll take that money up front. Now, the opposition will try to arrange for him to receive money from them for him not to represent you properly. So he'll take a double wage. And why would he say no to double money? Who would say no to double money?
Somebody who's scared of God and is God-fearing and is a decent person.
I agree. So we hope that everyone's lawyer is God-fearing and a decent person. But this particular episode of conspiracies, overseas conspiracies, is not about that type of thinking. It's about the other type of thinking. So we're going down the negative terrain at the moment, and let's stay there. So now something happened to us where our lawyer again would have been paid for the case at the beginning, started to miss important dates. So we changed our lawyer because we too were informed that lawyers are easily bought out by the opposition.
Shall we go into what was actually happening, or
No, I don't think we need to. I think we just summarize it, that we changed our lawyer. As soon as we found out, we changed our lawyer. I took a lot of advice from different people, even lawyers themselves, and it was really interesting what one lawyer said when I spoke to him. He said people come to me and they would have gone through 3 lawyers themselves, paying each lawyer £300 each, and then at the end they've come to me. So it's a normal thing for people to sometimes go through multiple lawyers, because you don't know what's going to happen until you're in the depth of that case, how your lawyer will carry on with, whether he's going to deal with you properly or he's going to you know, take the rishwat or take the bribe from the other party, and you know, then he's got extra money in his pocket now. So eventually we managed to get hold of a good lawyer, alhamdulillah. He does charge a lot more, but he doesn't take bribes. And previously, when we had the dodgy lawyer, we had issue with the tenant not leaving. Now, he was like, I'll see you in court. Literally, that's what he said. He'll say, I'll see you in court. And he even said, you know, I hope the case goes in your favor. And it's my dad's property. It's all in our property, so why wouldn't it go in our favor, right?
And you told 6 months before.
Yeah,
we're not going to renew his tenancy agreement.
Yeah, so his tenancy agreement's coming to an end. According to the tenancy agreement, we only need to give a 3 months notice. We're giving him more than a 3 months notice, and then when after the notice, then we give him a final letter. This time, by then we had changed our lawyer. When the final letter got to him, and he realized that we've changed our lawyer, boy, did the situation change overnight. Has he changed his story? My man's left. He's legged it. We've emptied
he was
it.
like a thug, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was saying to you, see if you can get me out.
Yeah,
See, I'll
literally.
see. I was listening. I could hear him on the
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
He was like, see if you can make me leave, and I pray when we go to court
Yeah.
that the decision is in your favor. We were like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
Like, your dad owns a property.
Yeah.
He's a tenant. So what is there to not be in your favor?
Boy, did his story change once we changed the lawyer. Boy, did he leg it.
Changed everything.
He ran. He's emptied the flat, mate. He's gone. He's done one.
But
So,
these are the kind of weird conversations you end up having in Pakistan that you might not ever have to have in England.
yeah. I mean, in England, you have even weirder. You might go on holiday, forget to close one window, and then there's a family inside claiming rights over your home, and you can't kick them out. By law, you can't kick them out. I think that's horrible. I mean, you can't. Squatters don't have rights here in Pakistan. You have to have an agreement. When that agreement ends, you can take it to court. I think that's more fair. Squatters, you should not allow people to squat in somebody's property. It's not cheap to own a property. It's not cheap to pay the insurance and pay taxes and X, Y, and Z. They might have a second home as well, so your level of tax increases because now they're earning above 90,000. So you know.
Yeah, the squatters' right is just.
It's ridiculous. I think that right in the UK is that right shouldn't be there. That is just disgusting, and nobody ever talks about it. That's really bad. But anyways, we don't have squatters right here. So yeah, we dealt with that situation. So do be aware of the lawyer. He can be easily bought out. He might be the nicest person in the world. He might be a relative. He might be a friend. He might be a family friend. He might be somebody that's been recommended. But people always have weaknesses, and they might just sell you out just for a little bit of money. And sometimes that little bit of money is just £15 per week. Sometimes, right? So don't get your high hopes thinking that, you know what, I paid my lawyer so much that nothing's going to change him. Things can change really quickly. Is there anything else we want to talk about? They're the 3 conspiracies. Overseas conspiracies. That's it. I think we should just end it there. I don't know how long this has gone on for. Oh god, it's like 35 minutes. It's like 30 something minutes. I think this is too long. Should we end it?
Yeah.
Alright guys, move to Pakistan, stay safe, stay aware, keep safe. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.